Hello, welcome back to another Partial Hangout video. In this video, I will be discussing video game difficulty and what I believe to be the best way to handle it when making a game. Now, in my opinion, there are two main incarnations of difficulty in gaming. Difficulty that you can select, like in the Doom games, or difficulty that is set and unchangeable, like in the Dark Souls games. I think that a set and unchanging difficulty is the better route to take for a game development. This is due to the fact that it better ensures that the player will have the deliberate and intended experience the developers want. Let me elaborate further. Doom is a first-person shooter game where you gun through demons to stop hell from invading. When booting up one of the Doom games, you're able to select from a handful of different difficulties across various games. Difficulties affect both the health and damage of the player and enemies. Adjusting these values can either make the game incredibly easy or a very frustrating experience. For example, in Doom 2016, the game that should be on screen now, I am playing on the highest difficulty. I can literally die in 1 to 2 hits, and oftentimes it can feel very annoying and unfair, but I do really love the game. Which leads to my very first point. Players may not know what they truly want. One player may only like playing games on the easiest difficulty to avoid a nerve-wracking time, and as a result may choose the easiest difficulty for a Doom game. He plays and breezes through the entire game, and ends up concluding that the game is an okay experience. This may very well be due to the fact that he did not experience a challenge to excite him while playing, or that he didn't take in the environment around him because he sped through the game with no difficulties. Let's flip the script and now say that someone chose the hardest difficulty because he loves the challenge. However, the game proves to be too hard for him, and he ends up believing the game to be an unfair experience. He doesn't wish to go to a lower difficulty out of fear that it will be too easy, or that the game is generally poor designed anyways. So, like the other player, he doesn't end up liking the game all too much either. Now let me ask you this, which difficulty is the intended difficulty to play the game as? Easy, medium, hard, super hard? In truth, there is none. It is up to the player to decide what difficulty is right for him. And I believe that leaving that choice in the hands of the player is not something that I think should really be given. This is due to the fact that it has the potential to make or break a gaming experience, which is why I think that the developers having more control over that experience will help that to not happen. Now let's compare Doom to Dark Souls. Dark Souls is an action RPG where you play as a lowly knight trying to lift a curse that plagues the world. In this game, there are no difficulty settings whatsoever. When you play the game, you will have the same experience as another player, more or less. On the surface, this seems like a bad idea. It locks the difficulty so that the player looking for an easy time or a player looking for a challenge may both be turned away from the game. And that is partially true. However, the magic shines in the freedom given to the player in Dark Souls. He is able to fully customize his armor, weapons, abilities, stats, etc. to make the game easier or harder for himself. You may say that this just puts the choice for difficulty back to the player, and in one sense it does, but on the other hand, the developers are able to control the experience for how the player is able to get that better gear and resources to make his time easier. With this level of control added to developers, they're able to really express how they want their players to feel, act, and play in certain situations. For example, once you make it out of the tutorial area for Dark Souls, you end up in this place called Firelink Shrine, the first area in the game. There are 3 different areas to go from here, one of which is the correct area. An easygoing player may want to look around for resources to make his play session easier. And just by exploring Firelink Shrine a little and avoiding some powerful enemies, he could find himself one of the best weapons in the game early on, called the Zweihandlet, a large, high-damaging ultra greatsword. Although it may have been a decent challenge to find and obtain it, now the game lines up to be an easier experience for him. Plus, the player may get a sense of accomplishment that may have been lacking in an easy mode for a game like Doom. Meanwhile, someone who likes a challenge may purposely want to press on without looking for much resources in the hopes of a challenge. If it proves to be hard for him, he can always go back and look around or try a new strategy. Generally speaking, with how good a development team may be for a game, they may very well end up crafting an amazing experience that is both unique to each player, but also controlled enough to ensure the players are playing the game as intended. I believe Dark Souls is one of those games. This pretty much concludes my take on difficulty in gaming. What do you guys think? Am I missing anything? Do you disagree? Leave it down in the comments. Oh, and just one quick thing I'd like to add. I feel like a difficulty selector can work well in games with limited ways to play said game. Like, I mean something like an arcade game where there isn't much exploring or generally different way to go about eliminating enemies. Since it's very limited, I think a difficulty selector is fine. But I feel like for more open-ended games, that crafting a unique experience and just providing ways for the player to make the game easier naturally is what I just think to be the better way to go than just a difficulty slider. But yeah, that's it for today's video. Make sure to like and subscribe. More gaming videos on the way. Hope you really enjoyed it. Partial Hangout, signing off.